In the 5th century BC, the Chinese military philosopher Sun Tzu observed, "There are three keys for a nation to be victorious in war: soldiers willing to do battle, weapons ready for use, and perhaps most important, the wisdom to win without fighting." But wisdom is born of experience. Without war, without enemies to fight, experience must come from training in conditions as real as possible.
21 deck, stroke, wind 5, right contact ground.
For a squadron of U.S. Navy F-18 Hornet pilots, the war games are about to begin against a very real and threatening opponent, the Russian-built Mig-29 Fulcrum. For these peacetime pilots, the price of wisdom just went up. It's called Red October. The United States Navy's FA-18 training syllabus covers all aspects of flying and combat. The fighter weapons phase typically occurs at this training squadron's home field in Virginia or on a detachment to Key West. But some of this year's pilots are about to get an unheard of opportunity, paired with a daunting challenge. It requires one of the longest peacetime flights a Navy fighter pilot will ever make. 9 hours across the Atlantic Ocean to meet the most widely exported threat aircraft in the world, the MiG-29.
Make a clear for takeoff in 25012. Cleared for takeoff.
But these MiGs are different. They are flown by an ally and provide real-world training against the actual threat. Not a computer, not a simulation, and not a Hornet pretending to be the Fulcrum, but a living, breathing, real MiG-29. Flown by the best trained, most experienced, and toughest Fulcrum pilots on the planet, the German Luftwaffe's 73rd Fighter Wing. Red October is 2 weeks of training over the forests of the former East Germany, where the first jet aircraft was built. The Navy trains against the MiG-29 because it is the MiG-29 that they will most likely see in combat.
Shark 1 is dead, Shark 1 is dead. Time. Copy, Shark 1 is dead.
Widely sold by the Soviet Union and then Russia, the Fulcrum is inexpensive. 2 aircraft can be had for the price of a single Hornet. Named for Mikoyan and Gurevich, the creators of the original Soviet jet fighters, over 1,400 MiGs have been built since 1984, with over half for export. U.S. pilots have seen combat with the Fulcrum over Libya, Iraq, and Yugoslavia. Flown by other nations such as Cuba, Syria, Iran, and North Korea, the Fulcrum represents the prime future airborne threat to American pilots. The chance to see it up close in the mock dogfights of Red October is unparalleled. In a simple comparison, plane versus plane, the Boeing-built Hornet comes out on top. But the advantage over the MiG is less clear when the jets come to the merge, an engagement's initial meeting where the aircraft pass 1,000 feet apart at speeds that can exceed 1,000 miles per hour. The formations and presentations of the battle may be preset, but the outcome is anything but certain. In the end, it is the quality and experience of the pilots that matters most. Dogfighting is like a knife fight. It is close combat, and nowhere in the world will you find a better MiG-29 pilot than here in Germany. They fight with an Eastern weapon, but have adapted Western tactics. They are trained to use independent, creative thinking and benefit from NATO support and maintenance, flying upwards of 150 hours a year. These German MiG pilots are the best trained, best equipped, and most dangerous opponents the F-18 pilots will ever face. Naval Air Station Oceana in Virginia Beach is home to 11 Hornet fighter squadrons, 2 of which are headed for Red October. VFA-106, a replacement air group or RAG squadron, training new F-18 pilots how to fly, while giving veteran Hornet pilots practice on the latest strategies. And VFC-12, an adversary squadron whose role in air combat training is to simulate a Mig-29, duplicating the MiG tactics with the F-18. But a simulated dogfight between 2 F-18s is like shadowboxing. That's where the U.S. Navy hopes Red October will make a difference. Training to fly against real MiG-29s will take the air combat knowledge and readiness of its pilots to peak efficiency.
I was against an instructor flying another Hornet, and we ended up two-circle on the deck. And one of the things I talk about against a MiG-29 or a higher thrust-to-weight aircraft is it'll translate aft on your canopy. I am looking more over my shoulder as it gets more and more offensive. And you fight another Hornet and you're both kind of just doing this, and the SFT will say, well, I was translating aft on your canopy, and you're like, okay, sure. Flying the same jet, I have no idea. And that was just one of a small point, but it's something I noticed. And then I got on the deck against a MiG-29 and I watched him go, wow. And I went, that's what translating aft on my canopy is.
Since before Sun Tzu's time, the same strategy has been used in training master warriors. The purpose is to prepare them so that by the time they step on the field of battle, they know their opponent's every move before the first move is made. The warrior's knowledge of an enemy becomes so precise that at critical moments he is able to act swiftly on instinct, knowing what to do and what not to do, calmly, without the burden of thought. For the pilots of Red October, gaining real-world knowledge of the Mig-29 Fulcrum will sharpen their instinct should they ever face one in combat. F-18 missions rarely last more than 2 hours. But the 9-hour translant from Oceana to Laga, Germany for Red October is no ordinary mission. To stay focused during the long flight, the pilots keep each other company, talking, even singing Academy fight songs. They wear 5 layers of clothing should they have to ditch into the frigid North Atlantic. The crossing is so long and so much fuel is needed that 2 tankers are required. In fact, even the Boeing KC-10 needs refueling. But for the invaluable training of Red October, it's worth it.
Your concern is the update on the weather. The latest weather we had is about an hour.
The first wave of F-18s flew through Hurricane Michael, forcing them to refuel several times under difficult conditions.
Understood, sir. And the weather is getting worked by the other jet.
This second cell departs the next day and finds clear skies.
Okay, stand by with that. Let's get this guy in the basket, then we'll talk.
Contact.
Drawing within 50 feet of the KC-10 at 400 miles per hour, with a fuel basket dancing in a crosswind, the in-flight procedure looks difficult, but for the pilots, it is a welcome break from the monotony of flying in formation.
Clear to contact.
F-18s have limited internal fuel capacity, so-called short legs. Each jet is outfitted with 3 external fuel tanks, maximizing their range at nearly 1,400 nautical miles. Each Hornet will use 4,700 gallons of fuel, enough for a car to drive each of the 50,000 miles of interstate in the United States 3 times over. In order to preserve enough fuel to reach a divert base in an emergency, they will top off their tanks 6 times while crossing the Atlantic. The fuel flows quickly. In a single minute, the tanker transfers as much gas as a typical American car needs for a year. Compared to the aerial war games waiting for them in Red October, the translant is an endurance test. But there are no complaints. Bragging rights come with flying 9 hours in a Hornet, and pilots will wear it like a medal.
My wingman in there just to get a little gas.
Roger, go ahead, disconnect.
Disconnected.